Okay, we'll do a breakdown on the tune Spring Fever. I'd first like to say that the mandolin itself's been in the museum for around 5 years, and we decided to leave the strings on there. So it's not really been touched. I had a little time getting up to pitch, and I'm actually just below standard tuning on the recording. Um, but it's still very lively and has that pop, that classic Larry Rice tone. I'm not pulling the tone quite like he did, but really impressed with the instrument. So the song itself's in C, and it goes into B flat to C, and then it goes into B flat to G, stays in G, and I'm just briefly skimming the surface here. So part B, a little more progressive, especially for that time. It's a D minor to C to G, and it's halftime. It's like it builds up. It ends. That line ends in G and starts back to C. So, all right. So there's a rough estimate, if you want to say, of the chords. But the kickoff, the wonderful kickoff, it's mostly a very arpeggio style. It starts on an open A. One more time. The line that comes after that, you get a little more chromatic run, and that's a lick that's throughout the song. The same approach to that. So you're in open A. Be the hardest part of the song in a sense to get it right. The melody itself, you're gonna just think of a C double stop. This position. So the melody line starts on the G note on the E string, so it's 3 to 5. That's the 3rd fret, and then your double stop. There's a small hammer on, and then it's a E flat note, which gives it a little blues sound. Larry had a lot of blues runs in his songs playing. So. Then it goes into the B flat. Just think of a B flat chop chord. He's using the double stop for the chord shape. So, and the one thing to notice is the pick strums. It goes down, up, down, up, down, and it's a pronounced down at the end of that line. So you got that. So the next line is the melody line is, and it's an F note. It sounds like it could be an E note when you're first learning it. Back to the double stop. It's common in bluegrass mandolin playing. You got the 1 and the 5 here, so in this instance it's a C and a G note. So, and a cool thing Larry does here is he does a hammer on, and then the little pick shuffle. Very reminiscent of Herschel Sizemore type stuff. So that far. Next line's similar. And then it goes to G. And then here's that little chromatic run out of a chop chord shape that we discussed on the kickoff. So fingering there's an option. I think you could easily go and then insert the lick. I like to change positions at this point because you're just there for your next line. So, that's a lick that's in a lot of bluegrass music. Bobby Hicks fiddle music, Doyle Lawson mandolin, Larry, all the guys from that era. Bobby Osborne were using those fiddle type licks a lot. So like you hear that a lot. So he does some variations on it. Sometimes he goes, and then sometimes he goes. And the more classic way would be. So back up a second. Then he extends it. So that happens 2 times, and that's half of the song. Part B gets into more of the D minor. It's a cool part of the song. It's D minor to C to G on the guitar riff. And there's a little halftime of a shuffle kind of a thing. So, but I like his use of double stops here. You've got a D minor, so again, just think chop chord. I think a lot of bluegrass mandolin playing, especially of that era, but even today, a lot of it is built around the chop chord. Like your classic, there's your D major, there's your D minor. So, you have those hot spots that we tend to use in those keys, and no exception here. Larry is on the D minor. He's going to double stop to that D minor chop chord. So, and from my ear, at that point, then he goes to the 5th fret G, and you can hear the D note coming in a little bit. And then you're going, so you got a C here when you think about, and then it winds up on G, which is your 5th fret D and 7th fret G. So got a series of little hammer-ons. And I'm sure he does that a couple of different ways on the recording. Another option would be, but I really think he's using this because you can hear him slide out of that shape into G. Now back to that chromatic style lick that runs throughout the song. So and I love this part because his fingering, he stays where he is, and he's using the G note here. And he's going from just calling the frets out. He's going 5, 7, 8, 9, and then 5 on the A string. So repeats. Then here he's going just a variation of the next line. I love how he uses less notes. So together it's more like. And then you repeat. this last line coming out, it builds suspense. It holds the G chord for a bit, and I love that. So it's back to that lick again. So and then you climb up. So you go back to this position with your G, and back to that same chromatic run within the shop chord like the intro does. So this part, it's a lick that you find in a lot of bluegrass. Bill Monroe influence, that kind of a thing, but it's a little more sophisticated, if you will, more notes. Instead of Monroe would use the same notes over and over, which is a really cool effect. But I think a lot of the second generation mandolin players like Doyle and Larry Rice and Jimmy Gaudreau, those guys were playing more left-hand work, and I learned a lot of that myself from those guys. So it's hard to get that right at that slow tempo. It's more of a feel thing, but it's I'll try it a little faster, all put together, part B. Here it comes. And it's just a handful of G's. It reminds me of a song, Patty on the Turnpike. Anyway, but again, it's just coming out of that, it's an extension of what Monroe was doing. And he runs it all the way to the G chord, and the song actually stops there, and then the next round comes. So on the recording, I think Tony Rice comes in on the next solo after the kick. So at that point it's the guitar. So I'll play it kind of slow, a little slower in between. That repeats, part B. Well, thank you, folks, for your time in Bluegrass Unlimited, and certainly the Bluegrass Music Hall of Fame and Museum for letting me take a couple hours with this iconic mandolin today, the Larry Rice tune on his great mandolin tune, Spring Fever. I think